Okay, in this video I just wanted to talk about the new G9 Mark II and the sort of future of the GH series cameras. And I'm sure you've already seen by now there's tons of kind of previews, reviews, first looks, all kinds of different videos about the G9 Mark II. And you know, it looks really good, like really feature packed, not only photo camera but solid hybrid camera. It's got a lot more kind of video features in there than I was expecting, really, to be honest. And in this video I just wanted to kind of look at where that leaves the GH6 and potentially future iterations of it, and where it kind of separates this in the lineup. So for a start, the body design obviously on the Panasonic GH6 is different to the G9 Mark II. The G9 Mark II has followed the S series body, so it's almost essentially a full frame camera body, but with the MFT sensor and a few bits changed around it, so that the body's been used to its kind of full potential. But it means certain things, like on the GH6 we've got the flip up screen, which, to be honest, it's physically on the camera is one of my favourite parts of it. I can use it in a camera rig and I can kind of tilt this up over a battery, or if I'm shooting pictures low, or if I've got it on a gimbal, I don't have to do that awkward kind of balancing the screen out to the side. And it's a really nice feature of it. So it's a little bit of a shame in a way that the G9 hasn't taken that on, but I can understand it from the kind of body design, because they've made it so that it works with the same battery grips and things as the S series cameras. The next thing that hasn't got on there is the fan. So obviously the fan on the GH6 is pretty prominent. It's a video heavy camera, so you can kind of see we've got the fan behind the screen. And even on the S series camera they've done a nice job of kind of hiding it away around here, sort of just behind the EVF. But on the G9 II it actually doesn't have that, and I've seen some really good videos where they've kind of stress tested it, and it seems pretty good, to be honest, on longer times. But obviously if you're a long form video shooter shooting in kind of situations like maybe live events, then there's sort of situations where things can get pretty hot, like live concerts or conferences. You're probably still going to be better off with something that does have some kind of heat cooling. So there's a little bit of a benefit there for the GH6 for people that do that kind of long form video recording. And actually I've done a video about that, so I'll link up in the corner about that. And also in terms of the body, we've got little things like we've got the dedicated recording button on the front. We've got the time code and flash sync there, so that's another thing. Unless I've missed something on the G9, I didn't see anything for a sort of time code there, but I may be wrong in saying that. But there's a couple of just little extra bits, and we've got things like the C4 dial on the camera, so we've got all those extra additional settings, which for me I find really useful. I actually use quite a lot of the custom programmed sort of functions on this, so I find it really useful having those additional bits. And one really useful bit, actually, I find for video shooting, I don't know how many other people do, but this physical lock on here is really useful. And you do have the option to do that within the menus on the other cameras, but having it as a physical easy switch, I just find a really useful thing to have on the camera. So the G9 Mark II sort of unsurprisingly has a full-size HDMI port, which I thought it would have, because I thought it'd follow suit with these. I would have found it a bit strange if it had sort of like a mini HDMI or something like that, so I sort of expected it to have that. But one thing I've not heard any news about from anybody, so I'm assuming this isn't a thing, is RAW over HDMI. So I guess that's sort of where the cap lies of it being a video camera. It's kind of, you've got All-I, you've got ProRes, albeit through SSD, but the RAW over HDMI is not there. And who knows, it may come, but it seems like sort of as a launch feature it's not a thing. And on the sort of the other side of it, you've got the GH6 obviously has got the CF Express card. So the CF Express card essentially means all video modes can be shot internally on the camera. So we've got all those versions of ProRes, we've got the all intra compression, we've got, you know, essentially just anything that can be shot on this card, whereas on the G9 Mark II we've got two SD cards. So the SD cards they seem capable of doing the same things as they could on here. So you've got the SD card will handle up to HD ProRes, and then anything beyond that, because you've not got your CF Express to record onto, what they've done is they've made it so that you can go straight out to SSD for any of those kind of recording types. So anything all intra or anything ProRes, really, with the exception of a couple, is out through SSD. And it's really nice that they've added those compression codecs, because, you know, it's a photo first camera, so it's unlikely that a lot of people will be sort of wanting those, to be honest, but to have them over SSD is quite nice. So obviously the main feature you've got there is the phase detect, and for anybody where the AF on this camera, or to be honest any MFT camera in the lineup, you know, they're all DFD contrast based focus, so if that's holding you back, then obviously this G9 Mark II is, you know, the jump that you want to make, because it's got that new phase detect AF, and you know, from what I've seen, it's a better implementation of it than is even on the full frame S series cameras. So, you know, they'll probably be getting firmware updates, no doubt, with like new features, but it looks like a really nice implementation of that AF system. So yeah, you've obviously got that, and then you've got the photo features on top of it, like those really high burst rate modes. You've got live view composite, and you know, they're obviously more photo features, so if that's something you want to see in the camera, it's really unlikely, you know, if you're holding out for another version of a GH camera, I highly doubt, you know, any of those will kind of come along anyway. So it's probably, if they're things that you really want in the camera, then the G9 Mark II is probably kind of the way to go, to be honest. So in terms of timeline on the GH series cameras, or at least, you know, some of the most recent ones, we've had the GH5, that was 2017, and then the following year actually, so it was March 2017 we had the GH5, and then actually in January 2018 we had the GH5S. So that was, you know, less than a year after the actual initial GH5 launch, that camera appeared, and then the GH5 Mark II, that took a few years really after the GH5S. That was June 2021, so you're looking at 4 years after the original GH5, and then we had the GH6 in 2022. So really it's obviously anybody's guess where these things lie, but I'd say we could be looking at a bit of a wait before, you know, another GH series camera comes along, unless potentially they just want to get it to market with PDAF and sell off the older contrast-based versions of the GH6. But one really great thing is, you know, obviously Panasonic's put a lot of resources into creating the G9 Mark II. They've even updated lenses, like I've actually got it here, this is the Mark II 35-100. They've updated that to a Mark III version now. I'm assuming, I don't know the exact ins and outs of it, but I'm assuming it's to work better with the PDAF system, and I imagine there'll be a firmware update coming along for some of these lenses. And they've also released a new version of the 100-400, which is obviously really popular on these cameras, because you're just getting a huge reach from that. So it's yeah, they're really good lenses to have, and they're not particularly big really in the grand scheme of things. I don't have the original 100-400, but I do have the 100-300, and it's a really good lens, and the stabilization on it's just so good. And with the stabilization on the G9 Mark II being even better than this, is just amazing really, because it is so good on the GH6. So it's yeah, it's really good that they've managed to push that forwards as well. And I guess really it all comes down to, you know, if you're looking to jump ship from one camera to another, or you're looking to just sort of invest in it starting from nothing, you know, price wise right now, I'm in the UK and it's about $16.99 is what I've seen it really as a pre-order for the G9 Mark II. I believe, I suppose it depends where you are, but it's about $18.99 I think in dollars, and that's to be sort of shipped in November, and I haven't seen any solid dates for it, but you know, we're looking at a good couple of months away. And in the meantime, obviously, because that's just been released, that's a new thing. So all the other camera prices have been really pushed down. You know, I've seen GH5. These are all kind of body only prices. So 1699 for the G9 Mark II body only. I've seen the GH5S pushed to under 1,000. The GH6, I've seen these down to as little as kind of 1,300. I've seen some of them for. I'll drop some links in the description so you can do sort of price comparisons and things. But you know, now it's always a good time to buy if you're looking to buy older cameras. And then also, obviously, if you're looking to get a newer camera, you want to get on the pre-order list fairly early so you kind of get it and don't have to wait too long. But it's yeah, there's some really good deals on the older cameras, and like I say, this GH6 camera. If you watch this channel, I've created loads of content with it. I use it for sort of professional work and personal stuff, and it's one of those things where a lot of people will obviously want the latest and greatest from the MFT lineup, but the older cameras are still really capable and they've got some great features. You know, even like back to the GH5, even the old G9, they're still like, some of them hold up really well to this day. So it's worth kind of checking them out because they always take a good price drop in release times. And I mean, they've really thrown the kitchen sink at the G9 Mark II because they've built it as a photo orientated sort of hybrid camera. So they're saying it does both, but it's photo orientated, and the video specs are really impressive. You know, I wouldn't say they've sort of really watered them down in any way. You know, it's really solid. It's got they've got open gate, 4K 120, all the things there that came in the GH6. So it's I don't know if them sort of saying it's a photo camera is something kind of saying to video shooters, you know, like hold off on this one, there's a potential successor coming to the GH line. But I think whether the G9 Mark II will get RAW over HDMI will be quite a sort of a telling fact of whether it's like that does sit on the photo side, and there potentially will be something else coming on the GH side. But it would kind of suggest that, you know, the G9 Mark II is the all-in-one sort of MFT solution. But I don't know, you know, nobody knows when another camera's going to come along. It could be in the next 6 months, it could be in the next 4 years. So it's just all pure speculation. But I think, you know, if you've got a camera and there's nothing stopping you doing from what you need to do, you don't necessarily need to upgrade. But it's, you know, it is a really good, capable new camera, and it's got a lot going for it. So I'm certainly interested in sort of taking a look at it when it comes out. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments and sort of what your what your thoughts are of the launch, and if you're going to be upgrading or sticking with what you've got.